Hey guys, Charles here with another Rooms tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at more features and creative things you guys can do using Rooms. This is going to be a beyond the basic style tutorial, and we're going to explore several different things that we haven't covered yet. And as always, you guys can follow along on the iOS app or on the browser version of Rooms. I'm going to be using the browser version, so let's jump over there and get started. All right guys, I have a room set up here already that we're going to use for this tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and toggle over to the edit mode. And we're going to start out by looking at a lot of things we can do with the properties panel over here. So I'm going to go ahead and select this Game Boy. And when I have that selected, if we look at the properties panel, we'll see the name of the thing we have selected. We can also toggle into the model editor and the code editor. I have two in-depth tutorials where I walk through each of those editors, so I definitely recommend checking those out. But you'll see down here we have the position and the rotation. Now obviously if we come over here, we can select our thing, we can move it around the room manually just by dragging it around, and we can also rotate it here as well. However, we can do a lot of fine-tuned movement over here in the properties panel, and that's why this is really useful. So you can see the position. I can come over here to this and I could change this a little bit. And I could get something in the exact place in the room that I need it to be. But the rotation in the properties panel gives us even more options. As you can see over here, when I click the rotation, I can just kind of rotate it on the Y axis. So what if I wanted this Game Boy maybe to be laying down on the ground, or if I got another thing from the things library, and I wanted to rotate it in a position that I can't really do here just by dragging around. And the way we do that is by adjusting the rotation in the properties panel. So I'm just gonna go ahead and zero this out so we can kind of look at this from the start. And you can see I can come over here to the X rotation. I'm just gonna type in 90 degrees. And when I do that, we can now see the Game Boy is actually rotated face down. So I want that to be face up. I'm gonna go ahead and type in 270. And now we have the Game Boy face up. I'm just gonna drag it up a little bit so it's flat with the floor plane here. And then I can rotate this here. And now I basically have the Game Boy lying down on its back. And again, this is something I really couldn't do if I just selected it out here and drug around. It wouldn't rotate it back so it's laying down. So if you ever need to do some fine-tune adjustments like that, you can always do it over here in the properties panel. I'm gonna go ahead and zero these back out. The next options we can look at briefly are the style options over here in the properties panel. I've covered a few of these before, like tint. We can go ahead and tint something using this really easily. And if you don't wanna have a color tint, just bring it all the way back over here to white. We also have the option for opacity if you wanna go ahead and make it kind of see-through. It's gonna be good if you're doing like a ghost effect or something like that. We have glow and threshold. I've got the screen here kind of illuminating a little bit, and you can see how that works. The next option we have is hide hover text. I want to show you guys what this does. Let's go back over to the play mode. Now on the sleeping cat I've got over here, you can see when I highlight that, it gives us this text, and that kind of signals that we can click on this. And we can hear the cat purring there. So we come back over here to the edit mode. When I select the cat, if I come down here to the style, you can see we have the option to hide the hover text. So I'm gonna go ahead and check that on. And now when we highlight the cat, it won't show that text anymore. So let's go back to the play mode. And you can see when I highlight the cat, it doesn't show us that text. So sometimes if you wanna kind of clean up the look of a room, if you have a lot of different things you can click on, you have that option to hide the hover text if you want, or if it's something you kind of want to be secret, like an Easter egg or something like that as well. So let's jump back over to the edit mode. Now I'm gonna select this little minifigure I've got down here. And over in the properties panel, let's go ahead and close the style options and look at the behavior options we have over here. So the first one we have is physics, and you're gonna see the default here is kinematic, and we have a few different ones we can select from here. We have tumbly, that's a popular one, and this will give you some interactivity with things in your room. So the kinematic one is basically like that object is gonna be like a rock. It's just gonna be solid. It's not gonna really be movable. The upright one and the tumbly options there are some fun ones you can add to different things. If you want to see a preview of this, just click on this little eye icon next to physics. And when we do that, it'll open up the Rooms API in a different window, and you can see the different physics types. You can see kinematic here, and we have upright. And it just kind of shows you the movement of these. And that's a nice visual way you can kind of see that. But let's go ahead and go back to our room, and I'll show you guys some of these firsthand. So I'm gonna select that figure, and let's go ahead and change his physics to be tumbly. And let's select the Game Boy here. We'll change that to be tumbly. And this little paper ball, I'll set that to be tumbly as well. Now, if we just go ahead into play mode right now, we're not really gonna notice much change. We can't really click on them or anything. So let's go back to the edit mode. And I'm gonna select this car down here, and we're gonna quickly go over to the code editor. And I'm gonna select one of the presets here. We're gonna select this character preset. I'll just click that. It's gonna add in a bunch of code for us. Go ahead and click save. And let's go back over to the play mode. And now I can drive this car around, and what I'll do is actually run into these things, and you can see it's gonna bump those and move those around. And so that's a kind of a cool way, again, you can add some interactivity into a room just by changing the physics type. So let's go back over to the edit mode. We'll select our block figure again down here, and we have another option under behavior, which is on click. And you can see we have several different options here. So what this allows us to do, it's similar to what we would do in the code editor, but we can do a lot of things really quickly right here, some really common things just inside of the properties panel. So I'm gonna select say, and this will allow that minifigure to say something when he's clicked on, so we can go ahead and type something here. I'll type in hello there. And let's go ahead and go back over to the play mode. And now if we click on that figure, he will say hello there, and he can say anything we want him to say. So let's go back over to the edit mode. Another option we have, I'm gonna click on the Game Boy. Now let's come over here on click, let's have this play a sound, and we can select a sound, and we have all of the different sounds that we have currently in our media library. But if you don't see one that you wanna use, you can go to the sound library, and that'll go ahead and open that up. And I'm gonna go ahead and filter to 8-bit sounds. And I'm gonna use this coin sound here, so I'll just click the plus icon to add that in. And let's come back over here, and you can see it has been selected there. So let's go ahead and go back over to the play mode, and let's go ahead and click on the Game Boy. And that will play that sound. So we have several different options we can choose from again with the on-click function. A few of the others I'll look at here, we have go to a room, so that will jump you over to another room. That's a nice one to put on like doorways and stuff like that. We can open up a website. We also have the option to prompt an AI character. So if I select that one, you'll see it'll kind of give us this little default, you are a Game Boy, and that's just because that's what I have this currently named as. And if we went over here and go to play, and if I click on the Game Boy, it'll ask us if we want to ask it something. And I'll just go ahead and ask, are you a toy? And go ahead and click send. And let's say, no, I'm a portable gaming console. So it's an easy way to kind of give a character some personality. So let's go back over to the edit mode. If I select the Game Boy here, and if you want to add in more here, again, this is just a default. You can kind of give it different characteristics, and that'll kind of go into creating that AI character. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys in the properties panel is this parent option here. And let me show you where this is going to be useful. So I've got this character over here, which is me, kind of in room form. And let's say I want to add a hat to my character. So I'm going to come over here to the things library, and let's go ahead and type in hat. And I'm gonna select this boater hat right here. So I'm just gonna click that and drop it on top of my character. And that looks great, but let's say I wanna move my character around the room now. So I'm gonna click him and I'm gonna move him around, and you can see the hat is not on top of my head. So I'm gonna go ahead and Control Z to undo that. And this is where the parent function is gonna come in. So I'm gonna select that hat, and under parent options over here, I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna select my name, which is the name of my character. So I'll select Charles. And now if I go ahead and click on my model and move him around, you'll see the hat is now sticking to the top of my head. And so that's essentially the function of parenting. And it's a cool way you can kind of build more complicated things and models by attaching things via parenting. So again, I have the ping pong table over here. If I click that and drag it around, you can see the cat and the laptop don't follow along. So I'm gonna go ahead and undo that. So let's select the cat, and to parent this, I'll select and just scroll down here and find the ping pong table. You'll see everything you have in your room here. So I'll select ping pong table for that one. And let's do the same thing with the laptop. Just scroll down, find the thing I want to attach it to, and now both those are attached. So when I move the ping pong table, everything moves together. And again, it's an easy way you can kind of build more complex models and things inside of a room. Now let me show you guys something with the TV screen I have over here. You can see this color gradient. And what that means is that we can add our own media onto this. You can see the same thing reflected here on the laptop. But let's just go ahead and work on the TV since it's bigger. So in the properties panel, you'll see this option for media. If I toggle that down, you can see we can select an image. And we can select any image that we have already in our library, or we can upload our own image, or we can check out this cool function to create one with AI. So I'm gonna select that, and there'll usually be a little line of text in here kind of as a default thing. I'm gonna go ahead and add in my own. So I'm gonna type in 8-bit pattern of white clouds on a blue sky. And the more descriptive you are with this, the better results you're gonna get. I usually like to add in something like 8-bit or watercolor. That tends to give me better results. Let's go ahead and click generate. And this will take just a second. And now we can see the results we get from that. It gives us two different options. We also have the option to edit the prompt again if we don't get the results we want. I think both of these look actually great. So I'm gonna select this one over here on the right, and we can now see it's been added to the TV. And with it selected here, we also have the option for stretch. So I can go ahead and toggle that on, and it'll kind of stretch the image aspect ratio to kind of fit within that if you need it to as well. But that's another fun option you have there, is like generating images with AI kind of on the spot for textures and different things in your room. Now let's briefly jump over to another room where I want to show you another cool thing you can do with rooms. So we're currently in the Things Inc. reception room, and one of the things you'll see in a lot of rooms are these little guest books. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and this will allow us to add in our own entry, and we can also browse through the different things other users have written. So if I go ahead and look through here, we can see something somebody wrote and the username, and you can also add in a photo if you use a screenshot from camera mode, and we'll look at that in just a little bit. And we can just flip through and browse through this, and again, we can add our own entry. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll just say this is for the tutorial. And go ahead and click send. And now we can see that's been written in the guest book. So let's jump back over to our room and I'll show you guys how to add in your own. An easy way to add your own guest book into a room is just come over here to the Things library, and I'm just gonna type in guest book. And you can see that there, go ahead and select that. And now we have a nice array of different guest books we can choose from. I'm gonna click this one here. This is one of the most common ones you'll see. And I can just place this anywhere in my room. And now if we go over to the play mode, and I click on the guest book, it'll go ahead and open it up, and I can go ahead and look through different entries. I've already written a few in here. And again, we can add in our own entry. And click send. And that will appear now in that guest book. And we go ahead and close that out. Again, it's just a nice way you can add some kind of fun interactivity to a room where users can add in their own compliments and just say they've been there. But like I also said, you can add in photos. So we're gonna look at how we can add in photos using camera mode. But before we do that, let me show you this little menu up here in the play mode. So we're currently in the play mode. You're gonna see these three dots. I'll go ahead and click on that. You're gonna see we have several different options here. The first one is copy link, and that will just copy a link of the name of your room that you're working in. You can paste that anywhere you need to. We also have this option for remix. And this is really great if you have already created a room and you're working in it, maybe you changed a lot of things up, and then you decide, oh, you don't want to save over your current room you had, you want to save it as a brand new room. Well, you can do that with this option. You can also do this with anybody else's rooms that you're checking out or maybe customizing. So if I click remix, you'll see it'll give me an option to rename this to something new, and I can save it out as a brand new room from here. I'm gonna go ahead and click X on that. And let's go back over to the play mode and back into this menu up here. And you'll see the next option we have here is camera mode. So let's go ahead and jump into camera mode. And now we're currently looking at our room in camera mode, and we have some instructions up here you can toggle down, and you can see if you hold right click and drag, it's kind of like rotating and pivoting, looking around at the room from our perspective here. We also have the options here. We can use the W key to fly forward, S to fly backwards. We can use A and D to move left and right. You can see our car jumping around there a little bit. And we also have something that you can't see up here, which is we can use the Q and the E keys to go up and down. So you can kind of just move all around your room here to get the nice angle that you want. We also have camera options down here at the bottom. We have zoom, so I can go ahead and zoom in. And we also have the option to zoom out really far so you can get a really wide angle look. I'm gonna zoom this back in. And we also have focal depth, and the default is 20. You can drag this all the way and it'll have everything in focus, or we can drag it all the way over here to the left. And you'll see we get this really shallow depth of field look, and you can adjust the focus distance. You can do that manually, or you can select this here. I'm gonna go ahead and click on the cat, and it'll bring the cat in focus. And if I zoom in even more here, just kind of reposition this a little bit, and we can see the cat's in focus, and things like the laptop and everything in the background is kind of falling out of focus. Again, you can adjust that with the focal depth here. And now we can just click on the camera icon down here to take a picture. And now we can see our photo. And we have a few different options here. We can download this. It'll download it as a PNG image. Allows you to share it in different ways. We can also set it as our avatar. And again, we have the option to post this photo, and that will post that to our guest book. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And we can just add in a comment here to go along with it. And click post. And that will post that to our guest book. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Before we finish up with camera mode here, we have this option here for a dolly shot. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the focal depth back all the way over so everything's in focus, and we'll zoom out just a little bit here. And what the dolly shot will allow us to do is create a movement that we can then screen record using a screen recording software like QuickTime or OBS. So let's go ahead and just try this out. So I'm gonna click on the dolly shot. And what we need to do is set a start point and an end point. So let's go ahead and set our start point. I'm just gonna pull the camera back here a little bit so we can see a little bit more, and go ahead and click set. So that's gonna be our start point. And let's go ahead and just kind of dolly in here to the cat. And we'll set that as our endpoint. Next we have times. This is like how long it's gonna take. I'm gonna leave that on the default 6. And we also have some curve options here for the easing, kind of the movement of the camera. Several different ones there. I'm just gonna leave it on the default ease out. And let's go ahead and click go and watch this animation. And you can see us slowly dollying in toward the cat, and everything else is off the screen. So again, it's great for doing screen recordings when you're doing the dolly mode movements like that. It's a nice way to show off a room for a video, make it a little more dynamic. So let's go ahead and close out of camera mode. And let's go ahead and click on our guest book here. And now we can see our photo that we took there. And you can see it says by the username there. So that's really cool. And the comment over here with cute. So that adds that to our guest book. Again, that's through camera mode. Go ahead and close out the guest book. I want to show you guys one more thing here. Let's go back over to the edit mode. And you can see I have my character designed over here. If you want to create your own character, an easy way you can do this, what I recommend, just come over here to the things library. And we have the option for the tag here for characters. And a cool way you can build your own character really quickly is just kind of build off one of the existing characters. So I can select here, we have Dr. Bruno. I'll just go ahead and bring him in here, place him into my scene. And with him selected, I'll just come over to the model editor and go ahead and toggle that. And now I'll just come over to the paint tool and select fill. And now I can just customize the look of this, maybe look more like me. So I'll come over here to the brown hair, add that in, change the eye color here. And if I wanted to, I could change kind of the look of other things as well. Maybe change the shoe color a little bit. And once I have that kind of customized, maybe to look more like me or whatever character I want to create, I can just go ahead and click save. And now we can see that reflected in our room. And again, you could always rename it over here in the properties panel. But that's just a really quick way you can create your own custom character in rooms based off one of the ones in the things library. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed exploring more of the features and creative things we can do using rooms. Be sure to check out the Things Inc. YouTube channel. We have a lot of nice bite-sized tutorials over there. And I will catch you guys on the next one.